Hi, I'm Jason Teal and I'm a photographer from Canada. Today we're here in Daegu to explore some of the alleyways around this great city. It's been said that there are over 1,000 alleyways here in Daegu alone. All right, I think this is a good one. This is our first alleyway in Daegu, and it looks quite nice. Okay, so this area is about 10 minutes away from Daegu Station, and a lot of these areas appeared around quite close to the major transportation hubs, and it's quite an interesting place. Now, places like this really capture my interest, just even from the outside. You've got a lot of character in the walls and in the door, and I'm just gonna peek in and just see what's going on here. Now, this is kind of a very sort of cozy area, and it has sort of a lot of personality, I think, anyway. Okay, so places like this, which is kind of an inn for the people in the area. One of the interesting things about this area is if you look at the names, each of these three inns is a city in Korea. So you have Yongil, Daegu, and Andong, which is kind of interesting. So you got a whole little community of cities around here. But when you look at the type of place this is, this may be not hotel or something that we would stay at, but for the people of a lower income, these are a very welcome addition because it gives you a place to stay at an affordable rate and you can get out of the cold. So it's a little bit of a welcome addition if you don't have that much money. Take some shots and we'll go explore. Okay, so we're here now at the famous 칠성 market, and this is one of the more famous markets in Daegu. And you can tell just by the character and the amount of people going back and forth that this is also a fairly busy market. Well, now this alleyway here looks kind of dark and mysterious, and I'm kind of interested to see what exactly is down that way, because I really, from this angle, can't tell. So it's maybe a little bit scary, but let's go on and take a look inside. Now we're here at the 능금시장, which is the apple market in Daegu. But you can see that it's not just apples here. It's a wide range of other vegetables. But one of the interesting things is the name 능금 actually means apple in Hanja. So in Korean it's sagwa, but here it's 능금. And if you know anything about Daegu, they're famous for the apples. So this is one of the two most famous markets in Daegu. Now let's take a look around. Now again, if you notice, we're walking in a space between two buildings. So again, we've found yet another alleyway in Daegu, which is again brimming with life and character. Now, something very interesting about this area, if you look at the signs above me, they all have the word 상회, which means corporation. But you might not have been familiar with this word because the current word is kiop. So if you can see behind me, there's a little bit of a house back there. These people, you have to understand, work from sun up until sun down, and they work extremely hard. So they need a place sort of to rest and to relax during a long day of work. So these places are like their house and their place of business, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to take a shot here and move along. Now I really like the look of this shop with all the melons stacked up. It looks really kind of like a well-organized place. So I'm just going to go in and take a look around. Oh, 안녕하세요. I'm a photographer from Canada. Is it okay if I take a look around your shop? Hi. Thank you. Now this is something kind of interesting. If you see here and also on the wall inside the office area, these are all the phone numbers of the other merchants and sellers in the area for which he has sort of this alliance or association with. And again, like just the sheer amount of different contacts he has is quite amazing. Now, one of the interesting things here is what we talked about before. You can see that he has his office here, but there's a sleeping area. He's got extra jackets and different things around. So it's just kind of like where he can rest and a little bit like a home here. So you can kind of get an idea of how much time that these people spend working and selling in this area because they need a space to sort of rest and relax throughout the day. It's really actually quite charming. I just noticed how many melons that you have around here. It seems that it's very well organized. And looking at your office back there, I have to ask, like, what time do you come to work and how long do you stay here throughout the day?
새벽 4시.
네.
새벽 4시에 출근. 그다음에는 이제 오후 6시 퇴근.
Wow. How long have you been working here in the market for?
한 32년.
Wow, that's a very long time.
6.25 사변 끝나고 나서 이제 아줌마들이 촌에 농사 짓고 해가지고 방울이 이래 지고 이 시장에 처음 들어왔어요. 그 당시는 이제 차도 없었고 전부 다 이제 구르마로
Really?
그러고 저 말구르마 또 그래가지고 또 들어오고 과일 도매시장이 내 알기로는 한 6.25 사변 끝나고 나서부터 여기 왔으니까 한 50년 가까이 넘었다고 봐야 되지. 그러니까 옛날에 지금 한 5년, 6년 전에만 해도 우리 앉아서 시간이 없었어. 계속 바빴다니까.
네.
이거 뭐 수박도 이렇게 팔고 막 계속 바빴는데 이제는 경기가 안 좋으니까 그냥 앉아서 노는 시간이 너무 많아. 아침 새벽에도 나오면은 사람이 없어.
Why do you not just go back home to your house and take a rest? Why do you stay here and relax?
이제 그래도 아직까지는 우리도 장사도 하고 해야 되니까 이제 나이가 있잖아. 힘이 닿는 데까지는 이 장사를 해야 되고. 그래 나중에 힘이 없으면 이제 장사는 그만하지만 뭐 안 되더라도 이제 가게를 지키고 그냥 장사를 하는 거예요.
Thank you for sharing your time with me. Could I possibly take a photo of you in your store? Alright, 하나, 둘, 셋. It's the 칠성상가아파트ments. If you know anything about Korean apartments, these don't exactly look like the big high-rises that you see around the city. Actually, at first glance, I didn't even think that they were apartments. These were, I believe, made in around the 1970s. So they have that sort of style. I would imagine that back in the 70s, this was quite a place to be where you had like all of your shopping and everything right on the first floor and you lived above it. But now a lot of these shops, as you can see behind me, are used for storage and not necessarily shopping goes on here a lot these days. But I think it still is a worthwhile place to take a look at, just simply for the character and the history. So let's go down and take a look further and see what we can find. Now again, one of the things that really sticks out to me are the wires coming in and out of the building. And again, it shows just sort of how old these buildings are and then the era that they were made in. One of the things I noticed here is just with the current condition of the apartments, it's hard to imagine back in the 70s people living here and having the, I'd say almost the convenience of all the stores. But again, it just shows how much of a different era that we live in now compared to back in the 1970s and just how much times have changed. I think this area is quite interesting. It doesn't really feel like a apartment complex just yet, but I'm sure if we explore a little bit further, we'll see maybe somewhat the houses look like. And this area here is quite cool, I think, with the light coming in and just a long hallway. And now I can kind of see the doorways to the apartments here and sort of the communal items. It's quite interesting. So I'm just going to get a couple of photos here. One of the things that really sticks out to me here is that there's a lot of the items that you would find inside of a regular apartment on the outside. So that tells me that there's probably a lot of trust and community here, which contrasts a lot with the modern areas where everyone keeps their things locked inside. So it's kind of refreshing to see how much trust that the neighbors have in each other. I just realized that this area is really sort of like an alley. It's the space in between two buildings, and it's kind of actually really cool because you have the one side with the houses and the other side, so this would be the alleyway here. Very, very interesting. Now this is kind of an interesting shot, but what I like about this here is that you have this sort of the darker area from underneath, and then you have the light shining down on these houses here. So it is really sort of a contrast of dark and light, which is super beautiful. And so as we get to sort of the end here, I feel that this is sort of like an oasis. You have sort of the concrete landscape out there, and then here it feels very cozy with the plants, and everything seems green and healthy. It's a really unique contrast. It's almost like stepping back in time and experiencing the history of this area, but ultimately it comes with sort of a melancholy feeling, because I know that in the future some of these areas may disappear unless something drastic changes them. It's a good point to learn about the history, but it's also an overall sad feeling.